went to Santi's room and I went, what do you call those things you put over your eyes to get rid of the blacks? She said, oh, I've got some of them. And I went, a couple.
Cucumbers.
I think I was, no, but I went to I was YouTubing, man. Like, oh, I feel a bit puffy on the face.
Yeah.
Don't look like that. Bear in mind, I was ill on the first podcast.
Yeah.
People referenced it to me, you know, you were quiet on that one. I was like,
first two.
I felt rough on that day.
But you were, I mean.
And but I remember preening and that, like, just making sure I didn't have any spikes here because I try and shave my hair. Do you shave your hair or do you shave your head?
You shave your head. You trim your hair.
Well, I was trimming my hair. But it's quite a well-known fact, right, in the family that I always leave streaks.
Right, okay.
Like sometimes like a mohawk down the back.
Mm-hmm.
Or often, Santi will say, you've got your spikes and it'll be this little tuft here. That most people don't notice, but I do. And I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you ever get like the odd rogue hair that's like growing out your cheek or something like that?
I was going to bring that up. You know, we had a meeting a few weeks ago with the F word.
Which one? With the F.
Why is it Schminnix? So I had a meeting and then I came home and I had a really long nose hair. And I'm like, oh no. You know, if somebody noticed that.
Retrospective, like, regret.
You know, if somebody's looking at you, you're trying to backtrack and go, did you stare at my face for too long and I was talking? And then she's in the back of her mind, not listening to a word I'm saying, but thinking about the nose hair.
Yeah, but you know what it is,
like that put you off?
It's a hard thing to do, this, I think.
What, nose hair?
Extrapolating nose hair.
Extrapolating.
Yeah. You can either do it with a mechanical tool or with your fingers.
No. Oh, fingers. Can you get eyes watering with your fingers if you pull them out?
No, but you get a sense of accomplishment.
You do, but is it worth the streaming eyes?
Is this the GQ version of the podcast where we're talking about male? I
don't know. This is just the amuse bouche. This is the warm up, isn't it? So
I'll often kind of do this. Look in the middle distance. And
right. Just pulling out the earlobe. Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes you'll just get the surface ones, but every now and again, you'll get one that feels like it's been probing right into the centre of your head.
But why as you get older, hair grows in places you don't want it? You know,
well,
it starts on
I used to tell the kids it shrinks,
shoulders. Yeah.
Comes from the top of your head, like a sort of reverse Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Man.
When you push
like, so their hair's out and I just sort of slowly, like a pint glass, empty.
Yeah.
But it's like spilling out in different places.
It's like stop motion animation. Yeah.
Yes.
I know what you mean.
But it's hard not to be self-conscious when you do this. Like, you think about the way you sit. You think about the way you might want to be sitting in 5 minutes' time.
Yeah. Because I edit, which is hard. I think I'm getting worse with it. I'm seriously getting worse with
at editing.
How self-conscious I am. I thought, you know, you could, you start talking and you're there and you get used to it and you'll just be, that's getting worse. I'm hating myself more than I was before.
It doesn't get easier though, because like you'd think,
because I'm seeing myself
like shock therapy, just watching it all the time, it will go away. But it doesn't. Have you got a face? By the way,
for me, we should have a "do you know what I mean" counter, because I say that after every sentence, and I guarantee I've already got the this would be great if it was just Chris in my head.
Oh, I do the opposite.
But I already had this before we started this thing, like, you know, years ago. I said, I can produce you and direct you into, and I can create the thing. Do you know what I mean? And I've always wanted to do that, but it was just because we're sitting and having natter for about 7 hours on a Friday. We've got something to say.
See, I feel the opposite. I've genuinely now. I mean, if I could be like a fly on the wall in my own life, I have a face that I pull. I can't stop it. So every time I watch a clip, if you send the clips through, right, that I'll be scheduling for social media, if I'm on them and I talk, and I've realised I've got a couple of things that I keep doing. I've probably just done it there, where I pat you on the shoulder and go, like that, right?
Oh, but I like that one.
I know, but so when I see it, I shriek, and then I mumble, like shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right? Or I do that because I don't want to watch it anymore. It's like when you know, if you see yourself on like any like family video or something like that, or photographs where you're also one looking away with a double chin or something, or.
But for me, I you know, he's like, who wants to talk about this? Who wants to listen to this? I think it's quite important because nobody talks about this. Back in the day, it was like nobody ever mentioned this, but this is a world, you kind of enter in a new world of like putting yourself out there, which we don't want, we feel uncomfortable with, although Peter might say, you love it, don't you? Do you know what I mean? We just want to do a thing, and the whole point in getting the thing out there is to put us in front of it. That's the whole reason, isn't it? So,
but you don't find it really interesting though? Like, I was watching a YouTube video this morning, right? And it was Jim Carrey talking about his ADHD. And he was talking about how Jim Carrey is a character. And that ultimately nobody knows who he is.
Was a third
because
person.
like Jim Carrey, the person that we know, persona, is a persona that he developed because he had to have like shields. Yeah. And I'm finding that every time I watch the podcast, you see a different version of yourself.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes like the more natural version of yourself comes out that you try and suppress. And I find that quite hard because I've always had this thing where I hate, like I was always a class clown and I still am. I can't help it. It's just in my nature. But I think I've probably mentioned this on several podcasts. I remember once reading a review. It might have been Bev, or was it somebody else? They wrote a review of the restaurant, right? And I'm on the front cover of the Chronicle or something, polishing a glass or something, you know, like in a meaningful way. Bicep out in that. That was in my 20s. And it says, the smiling Chris Jewett, right? My God, honestly, that stuck with me all of my life. I even talk to Helena about it all the time. I'm like, I've got to get rid of that persona. I don't know why, but I hate it.
Why?
Because it makes us feel like a numbskull.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Guffawing all the time. But I do, naturally.
Right. The problem is we're not supposed to see ourselves. We're not supposed to hear ourselves, all that kind of stuff. That's a given, right? I think that's why we all feel uncomfortable with saying ourselves and hearing ourselves. It's awful. But I think from an outside perspective, that's what people gravitate to, Chris. It's kind of, that's why your network is so broad, because people come to you because you're very approachable. And I've had this conversation with many people about who I know, about the clips and about me and you on the podcast and talking about this, you know, just to make sure that I think, are you sure this is all right? That kind of thing, because you always have doubts because you're putting yourself out there. So what I'm trying to do, I'm asking that, and I'm like, well, Chris, everyone gravitates to him. He's got a friendly face, you know. I'm not like it.
Say flake.
Flares. But I was thinking the other day, and I was like, hang on, you know, I was thinking about planes, trains, you know, how you got planes, trains. So you got John Candy, you got Steve
That's not
Martin.
a pillow.
Yeah. So I'm like, the Steve Martin in the film. So the kind of straight, great, kind of twisty wind.
No, but that's, so you're bringing that up though.
But then you're the fun.
No, but that's the point.
But everyone loves John Candy.
In fact, I know, but like the kids in Helena said this a couple of weeks ago. We were watching Uncle Buck. Fantastic. And they were all like nudging each other, like in jokes. Yeah. I was going, what's the matter? And they were like, you're like John Candy.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to be like John Candy.
I know, but you know what?
Funny.
But nobody wants to. I don't think John Candy wanted to be John Candy, but he leaned into who he was, right? And, you know, I think, Alice, I'm going to send this to you. This is serious, right? I think.
But look at it, serious.
But it's that vibe. It's the kids and the vibe and mannerisms and how you carry yourself. And I'm like, actually, I think you're right. The John Candy, everybody loved John Candy.
I don't know who John Candy is. So sorry.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
I'm sure he's great, but...
Absolutely love that.
Have you ever seen Planes, Trains and Automobiles?
I've not.
Have you not seen Uncle
Right.
Buck?
Nope. How dare you? Right, so...
When's it from, first of all?
We're talking about late 80s, early 90s,
Okay, so I wasn't alive, is the problem.
You weren't alive.
But it's classic.
Hang on. You weren't alive, but I wasn't allowed when Easy Rider was out, and I've seen
Exactly.
Easy Rider and
Okay.
the like French Connection, all that kind of stuff. So I know what you're saying. I feel what you're saying. No,
shame there,
but
like.
no, I'm going to do like a lovely list because I think you would be like, yeah, I know what you're saying. Uncle Buck, classic.
Aw.
This is just the height of 80s entertainment, family entertainment with a bit of adult humour in.
Okie doke.
And John Candy was the one that kind of gelled it all together. So Planes, Trains is it for me, Christmas movie.
Oh.
Fantastic one, right?
Yeah.
It's about them getting home, the flight's cancelled, and these two worlds collide together. Two opposites. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is phenomenal. It's got some moments, cultural classic moments, right?
Completely.
Yeah. There's that Uncle Buck and
Cool
there's Cool Runnings, but there's also, but that was like back end, wasn't it? But John Candy, Spaceballs, he's in Blues Brothers as well.
I've heard of that one.
Have you seen Blues Brothers or not?
No, I've heard of it.
All right. He's in it for like very few times, right? But from a movie buff perspective, if I ask any of my friends, if I say any one, like 2 words, right, we'll just go orange whip, orange whip, orange whip. That. Because you remember, he only says those 2 words, but he goes around the table. He's in a club, he's a copper, and they all sit down, really serious, and he goes around asking anybody if they want an orange whip, right? Which is a like kind of drink.
Yeah.
And it just, that's who he was in the film. He's that kind of comedic break
Oh, okay.
all the time. But he says 2 words, and you remember him forever because he says 2 words. That's who he is.
Okie
But he's a
dokie.
lovable character. Do you know what I mean?
So hold on. If you've not seen that, I've referred to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation to you a few times. Have you seen that?
No.
Do you know what it is?
All I know about it is that there's like a big thingy of eggnog at some point. That's it.
Yeah, I mean that's an important part.
Yeah, so I know that.
But the thing is, it's eras of
But it's that
movies and
era of
stuff like
comedian though, isn't it?
Yeah. But
Chevy
it's that
Chase,
Chevy
all that
Chase,
lot.
John Candy, because they all came up together through that kind of same.
John Belushi and all that came through that.
John
road,
Belushi,
didn't it?
James Belushi, it was
Yeah.
all of them, you know.
Animal House and the whole.
But yeah, but it's one of those. It's some. I mean, I've spoken to people who've never seen Back to the Future. Have you seen Back to the Future?
I have seen that. I love Back to the Future.
Right,
I've seen
okay.
all of them.
Well, the thing is, if you've seen that,
All of them,
I would have thought that you would have probably seen those as well because those are kind of in that family.
Oh,
of
okay.
Yeah, I would
fun
have thought that as
entertainment.
well.
I guess it's
'Cause
just
it's
if it was on like ITV in like 2005, I probably would have watched it.
They're on all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, these things are kind of on loop. It's one of those you pop on, you won't turn off because you'll be halfway in going, "This is fantastic."
Okay.
It's just great entertainment. You cannot stop watching it.
Oh, Uncle Buck, man. There's some moments in Uncle Buck that just.
What's,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
the golf, with the golf ball with
Yeah.
Bug.
Yeah.
It's a classic moment.
But even when he goes into the school about his kids, because he has to look after his his nephew's niece at the weekend, doesn't he? So anyway, we don't want to talk about. We don't want to get into movies.
I
and talk
can't help
about
it.
movies, but,
I can't help it because I put up a social media post about that one.
Yeah.
Not quite recently, actually, about kids in education, and everybody must have it in them the desire to have that moment that Uncle Buck has with the headmaster of that school.
yeah, it's taught.
What is it? Take this quarter, head downtown,
and have
and
a
get
rat.
it rat and all that thing off your face.
Yeah. But it's just like this big huge guy, and he goes to the urinals with all the kids' urinals, so he's got to position himself into even just that moment there. That's lost. They don't do that in comedies anymore.
No, they don't.
Really don't do that in comedies anymore.
Subtle.
It's a subtle bit, but spending time on a moment.
Yeah.
And then just adding that orange whip round the table has no relevance to that film at all. But it's that comedic moment they'll throw in. Those are the lines we always remember about that film. It's not the whole arc of the film of what the whole pitch was. It's those moments.
Yeah.
That's why we like it. And that's hence we do the things with the clips for the podcast. It's the memorable things from the podcast, not necessarily the things that some people might want them to show or say or see. But we go, that's it there.
Yeah.
That's the fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's why
And have you found though that when we do the podcast now, how many have we done? 15?
Yeah,
We're up
something
to?
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. 15, 16.
You got to the point now where probably about when we got to the 5th in, you know when those moments happen, don't you?
Well, you do. They just
Straight
happen.
away.
Yeah, but it's the thing is we're in tune because you got like minds. So it's like minds, and then you just look at each other and laugh because because you're thinking of the same thing at the same time. It's like your mates. Why would you just look at somebody in a room and laugh at the one word? Animal House. He's going along the line, and the guy goes hello when he reads his name out. Me and a friend of mine laughed for 25 minutes just off that one word, but it was the way it was done.
Yeah.
It's the way anything's done. So, yeah. It's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
It should be fun. That's the whole
Well, it
point.
is. So we've come to the conclusion that I'm the John Candy of the podcast.
Yeah. And I'm getting worse on self-consciousness and self-hatred. As he laughs at the end of it and he cries with a tear in his eye.
No, but I mean it.
Yeah, you should quit, Dan. Shut up, man, will you? Stick to what you know. Shut up, man. I'm gonna boil your head.
Oh, is it not a way you can edit it, like with a blindfold on or something like that, or like a filter or a pair of goggles?
No, but you know what? I have cut out a lot of the. Do you know what I mean?
Have you?
I'm like, the last one with Peter Manning, I'm like, holy moly! I said it then, I said it then, I said it then, said it then, like in one sentence. I'm like, why? There's no need for it. But I don't. The problem is your mouth starts going, and you're not thinking about what you're saying.
It's repetitive nervousness though.
It
like
is.
I do this a lot. I fiddle with my face. Or one of the worst things I've got is an affliction. It's I try and do a serious face. I don't actually try and do it. I just default to it, but it looks ridiculous. So I kind of like I tilt my head to the side, and I'm like like I'm some sort of Freudian psychologist nodding my head. But I think that I look completely different when I look back on the podcast.
Yeah, what we all do.
So I'm like doing this, sort of raising one eyebrow, nodding my head.
I just I'm not going to go into it because I hate everything about it. So it's kind of like it's getting worse. I'm like, what's going on here? I thought it would be like you'd start like getting used to it and stuff like that. But you can edit it around. You can kind of feel the professionalism kind of overtakes the kind of the giving a shit. So yeah, you have to just do it because you wouldn't do it if you didn't do it.
Yeah, I think so. I'm getting over the nervousness now. I have to admit.
I'm not nervous because I can talk for England. The ball points and reeling it back and not bloody jumping in like I've just done.
Is that the end? I'm just taking it. Sorry.
Are you finished? It happens. Yeah, no, that's a problem.
What's been your favourite bits of the podcast so far? That sounds like a really banal and crappy question. But I feel like we're talking slightly about the bits behind the scenes, about how we slot into it all.
Well, that's
what have you
I mean, as solo eps, I think it should be the whole point is having a big crack about us, and we can talk about the eps and stuff like that, and talk about people. I love the fact that every single person we've had in has had a very unique feel and vibe from our perspective, and the conversation leads, and our energies change. Especially I feel mine does as well, to whoever's sitting there. With like Barry, I felt, it's a bit more of a serious conversation because of how he led us down that conversation path.
Yeah.
And then we get Amy and it's just a free-for-all. So I feel the guards down and I can have fun and play with it because you're just working and you're bouncing off people, Do
you ever go back to when we first started talking about it? I don't mean the very, very beginning, but when we got close to launching this and you did all the build, but we it was a bit mindful of when I opened my restaurant. We didn't have a till, which I've told you about before. We'd built the studio, but we were still kind of wrestling with like how we approach it and everything, and how we had, the script and the questions.
Yeah,
do you remember we hadn't really rested upon what we're going to do.
Yeah, we printed that thing out and it's faded because my printer was run out of black ink. So that's kind of why, but we just kept it. But it's one of them, you just kind of make it work and you go with it because you never started. And that's what people do.
But
all
it's
the
funny
time.
though, isn't it? Like,
because
I was really nervous about whether we got that right or not. So
but
the whole people walk in, they don't know what to expect. There isn't a script. It can go anywhere. I was thinking this could end up like a total dog's dinner, and but what it's done, people might think it's a dog's dinner.
But you have to do it how you feel it should go, and our vibe, and this is the vibe.
No, but that's the point. Look at what happened today, right? Or what's happened recently. It's that nearly every single person we've talked to has had that that little bit of not a eureka moment, but that little light bulb of a memory that they've kind of forgotten about.
Yeah.
Which I think that if they were prepped and they came in with an expectation as to what they were going to be doing or how, I know they all talk to each other and they might watch the podcast back and look at other guests and everything. But the fact that they just turn up and talk, I think it's really sort of, there's something quite unique happens when they have those moments.
Yeah.
When they don't quite expect, and sometimes they've got quite emotional about it.
Yeah. I mean, they do and they have. I think Simon Cheeseman.
Yeah, Mr. Cheeseman.
Mr. Cheeseman. I think Simon would kind of prepped himself to come in and stuff like that and thought it was going to go one way. For us, there's zero expectations. Why would you have a script? Every podcast you ever love is because it's just a conversation. And we have to find that conversation in the room. And it's not a skill, but we have conversations all the time. We like and enjoy talking. We talk to people outside of this door exactly how we would talk to people in here. And that is the whole point and purpose of this whole thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the point. Everybody gets treated the same. I don't care who you are and where you're from. I'm just intrigued. And how it starts is usually a roll and start because we're having a conversation before we turn the cameras on. Just keep flowing with that. Because how many times have you heard people, oh, I hate public speaking. I don't like doing that. I'm the same. So I need to do this rolling start of conversation. We said this before, what we're going to talk about, what the subject. I don't care. We should be sitting down and talking. That's the whole point. Because then we can have a conversation, which we normally do without the microphones on, talking about this. Now the subject is us talking about the talking. Do you know what I mean? It's become the thing. That's not where we're going to go. It's going to go everywhere. Yeah. And we're going to, cover some, Alice is going to shout out some menu questions as well, which will be good. But this is important. No one talks about this, the start of things. They're just, have you got the podcast? No one talks about the nervousness and the issues and the problems I think this should be covered in things you should talk about.
Of course it should.
The anxiety of actually starting something new which you're uncomfortable with.
But it's not just that, it's and we've just been talking about this earlier, it's the transition that we're trying to go on as individuals.
Well, yeah.
Right? Because everybody sees us as a certain thing.
Yeah, as a thing,
right?
As a label.
And they've and that's up to them, right? They've took that label, they've put that on us. And they see us as doing certain things. So there'll be that period of time where they think, well, what are you guys doing? You guys don't host podcasts. It's not what you're about. Like, no. Why are you taking that space?
No, but now they'll say, you do a podcast? Is that what you're doing?
Exactly.
Now?
But
what
it takes
are you talking
time.
about? It's like 5% of me time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Alice, do you know what it means?
Yep.
But it's right. I mean, for me, it's good to talk about these kind of things because people think about it, but they don't ever mention it, Yeah. And, it's not like, stop overshare and all that kind of stuff. We're just talking about this.
Well, no, because people need to understand it doesn't come...
reason why and the point.
It does come natural, but you know what I mean? But you've got to tap into that naturalness. Yeah. You can't just... You've got to find a way to get to that point where you feel comfortable enough to be natural.
It's hard.
Makes any sense?
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole idea of talking without a hard start, without a introduction to the podcast.
Yeah.
It's really important because it is like public speaking.
Yeah.
And I used to do a lot of public speaking. I hated it. But people used to say to me, like, if you get on a stage, say something before you start your speech.
Yeah.
It's usually just a bop.
I think it's usually you start, I tend to do it by default. It's self-deprecation. So you're already going, well, if I make fun of myself, then you can't say that because I've already done it. It's out the way. So I already know that I'm a buffoon. I can't speak properly. My words don't come out, blah, blah. But that if we start off there, then you're not calling it out. Why? Because I know it anyway. So it's kind of going, that's not going to affect us because I'm just going to waffle on. But when I get firing on all cylinders, then I'm sure something interesting is going to come out. Because at the end of every podcast, everyone's loved it. So why is people surprised? I don't get it. I really don't get it. What is a podcast? It is what you want to be.
I think it's because, like we've been talking about earlier, it's the putting things together that people don't think match. Do you know what I mean? So we talk about
the
craft
block-
beer and the
yeah,
meat and the
yeah,
block and bottle.
Block and bottle.
And we're, in many respects, we're trying to do that. We're trying to bring together what other people see as like disparate worlds that don't fit together. They don't hang alongside each other.
But
We don't think that. They make complete sense to us.
But they do.
They do.
Like I messaged the other day because I had a friend of mine feed back and go, yeah, it works perfectly. You know, with the films, with the events, with everything that you do and the podcast, it's all of this kind of world works together, and it proves it because obviously of what we're going to be doing in the future with the joint ventures. That kind of works.
Yeah.
Films, events, presentations.
Yeah.
You know, productions, all this kind of stuff. It all works together seamlessly. And this is just a bit of fun. This is the voice of the podcast, so you know who we are and what we talk about and the ethos. Plus an hour and a half every week. Well, you know where we're from, what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's easy to sell up as well.
Yeah.
It's easy to tell that story by conversation instead of knocking on your door, making a phone call or an email and trying to get that across.
Yeah.
Just go and have a look at the website. You know, what do you want to say? That, there you go.
Yeah.
What do you do? That, there you go. Ah, great. See how one works with the other. The films are about the people in the markets, and the markets are about the people on the films, and it's, you know, the events are about everything together.
Yeah.
It you know, and the merch is fun, and the podcast is
It's
fun.
like
as
there's
well.
one creative process with multiple
Well, it is
outputs, isn't it?
But that's what everything is now. The world is completely changed. The media world is completely changed. The landscape is completely changed, and the ones doing it well are combining them.
Yeah. I mean, if we'd made an episode or a fly in the wall episode of just watching us going through the process of developing some of the merchandise ideas, and we've been in stitches. We've been in absolute stitches at times, bent over, double.
Well, it's
Talking
funny,
about some of the ideas that we've got.
Well, the message I just sent 10 minutes ago about something, you know, it's a ridiculous idea, but it's fun.
What was that?
King of Mates. But I'm not saying any more.
Oh,
Keep it.
but there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, but it's fun. But it's the same as the Sam and Sting.
Yeah.
Sam Fender. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, it's all fun. We just need some sponsors, Chris.
Yeah, we do. That'll come. Alice, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
How many podcasts have you done for us now?
Maybe about 10, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you've done quite a few. You've done the majority of them, I think.
How have you perceived them? Have they evolved?
Yeah, you've edited a few
you've seen from a
audios
completely
as
different
well,
perspective.
you know. So yeah, it'd be nice to hear.
I feel like
Shoot me eyes.
yeah. I feel like you I think you guys have remained fairly consistent in how you kind of like conduct yourself and talk to guests and kind of welcome them in and stuff. And I think it's always quite interesting seeing, because generally speaking, Chris, you seem to have met most of the guests first, and some of the times Dan's never heard of them or met them until they walk in. But I think that's a really good dynamic because most of the people who listen don't know who the guest is either. So I quite like the kind of inquisitiveness that Dan brings, and then your kind of like nice familiarity that you have. I think it's nice. And for my job, I've edited a lot of like businessy podcasts where it's quite structured and you're here to talk about this thing in this business and this whatever, which is fair enough. People like those podcasts. But I think the kind of informal tone is nicer to listen to. And I understand why guests would be like, oh, what do you mean? We've already started? Like, you haven't done an introduction yet? Because there's quite a kind of set guide, I think, of what a podcast should be.
Yeah.
And even though this isn't like necessarily like any of the ones that I can think of at the moment, like, it is quite different in that respect. I think it's quite nice.
We have an opening theme tune. That starts it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
what's it called?
Raji Gaji.
Raji Gaji. Love that.
But that's the thing, and then it leads into a conversation. But that to me is a much more enjoyable because you're already settled in.
Yeah.
And I like that because I'm looking through them all, editing them all, and it's great because the guests are already having a conversation. It doesn't take them 10 minutes to warm up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of doing it like that.
It is because, like when I used to do a podcast, it wasn't like super structured. Would have like a few things, kind of like your 3 menu items. Would have something that would kind of start with, something that would end with, and then would have a general idea of what I wanted to talk about in the middle. But yeah, it was quite informal and nice, and we would notice a lot that at the start we'd be like, "Ooh, okay, we've really got to try and warm this person up because they're not there yet." And you'll notice a lot of the time, I think not. Again, I haven't noticed it here because all the guests seem to be quite comfortable when they get in. But like fillers, like or I would notice when I was editing our podcast that at the beginning, so many, and then it'd be about halfway through they'd be like fully settled. And then, because at the end of the day, they'd be talking about their thing, like I used to do an art podcast. So they would talk about their art. And it's like, you know what you're talking about. It's your thing. So there would be a point where I would see kind of like a switch flip and I'd be like, oh, okay, they're comfortable now. Great. And then starting the way you guys start, they're kind of already there. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's kind of, I think it helps with it being 2 of us as well.
Yeah.
Because you're having a conversation, you're milling around, you're signing a thing, you're on the sign the wall, you're sitting down, you're having a cup of coffee and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it should be. And again, it's you're coming to visit the lads. That's what the whole point is, isn't it? Yeah. You're coming to have a crack. That's the point, and that's what we want it to be. But it's amazing because I do get feedback and I hear people because they've never ever seen me like this. If it's a professional kind of relationship. This is how I'm like with my mates. Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm like behind closed doors. So this is me just being me. Just you never seen it. Why? We ain't had the chance. That's the whole point. But is it unusual? No, you're just saying I'm wearing a different hat, and the hat's completely off now. Yeah. This is what it is. But that's the issue. It's kind of people like you without the hat on. That's the problem. And that can
get how many dislikes, do we?
But that can get in the way. Well, it depends on what we're talking about. I might have a few dislikes on a Greg's order.
Yeah.
Because they're just going, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Cheese savoury, nah. But that's
well, that was a real one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Cheese savoury baguette doesn't exist.
I just want to know there's one mystery on the clips. There's one mystery hate like. Oh no, there's one mystery dislike.
Should try and get that person on a podcast.
Yeah.
Who's the mystery disliker?
Oh, that's what we need to do as well, because we kind of put it out to the masses. We're going to do a
who was your local hero?
Who was your local hero? So we're planning on getting somebody who somebody puts to us, and then we'll choose who that person.
It's like a monthly, once a month, we'll draw a name out of people tag.
Yeah.
And we started that 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah,
we've had a few people mentioned.
We've had a few people. Look, you need 5 names to pick one out. Yeah. But for me, I feel bad that we can't do them all, and that's I like to do that, but it'll be a nice thing to do. But why not? Because we just do it anyway. We'll have a conversation like this outside, and an hour will fly by. We know it'll fly by.
Well, that's because, right, when you think about lots of podcasts, people have certain views on what they think makes an interesting person. That bothers me.
Yeah, but it's usually
because everybody has an interesting story to tell.
Yeah, but there's an expertise, and that's the whole point. Everyone has a story to tell.
Yeah.
That's not this podcast, but that is your podcast, It's linked to the Storyland thing. And that's the whole point. It is. Yeah. But what's that like when you're not going down a different rabbit hole? What's it like when you're just interested in a person and having fun with it,
Yeah.
Going back through memories and things.
Mm.
You should be allowed to celebrate that. And I think that's the point. So. And even though, talk about the old days, nostalgia and what you used to have as a kid. Yeah, you know why? Because we've all done it, but everyone's is different.
Yeah.
So we've all lived a life. Why not talk about it? You'll talk about it in the back garden, having a barbecue. Did that last week. So why not do it on a podcast as well?
You had a barbecue last week?
No, it was kind of, it was a barbecue meeting, but without the barbecue.
I thought you were going to...
No.
I was going to say it was the invite.
No, she did potatoes, or shout out to Lou. Jack potatoes in the oven. The spuds are fantastic. Yeah, she did chili as well with it. What my boy had, he had
chili
beans
and jack
cheese.
Potato, like.
Yeah. Do you like jack potatoes, Alice?
I do. I love a jack potato.
Are you specific about them?
In what way?
Like, I feel really let down, right? If I've had it in the oven for a long time, I've got to have hard, crispy outer,
Yeah, it has to have that.
creamy, buttery middle.
Yes.
So I mean, that's the ideal Jackie potato, or me and my sister call them Jackie Tates. That's the ideal. But I'm not picky. Like I like potato and I like stuff in it. So
Okay.
as long as it's not a raw potato, I'll probably eat it.
You feel shortchanged if it was
I feel
shortchanged.
shortchanged.
Oh, yeah. Or if I went somewhere and ordered it, and they gave us a not crispy one that wasn't fluffy on the inside, I'd feel a bit put down.
Yeah.
But if like I'm making it at home or like me mum cooks for us, I'm like, I'll take what I get. It's fine.
Yeah. But the thing is, people think
Acceptable potato.
people think it's like, oh, jack potato is such an easy thing to do. No. This is 45 minutes in the oven, this thing.
There's a method.
Yeah, there's a method, and it's in the foil.
And you got to take the foil off later.
Foil off because of the crispiness, and that's how you get to that. But it can't be over dry, and then it's kind of there is a hole, and
there's a way.
And then whatever you're putting in it, that's got to be prepared as well. So there's a skill to getting a good one.
Scooping it out, all of it.
Fluffy.
I did this at school. Fluffing it up with butter, so it's almost like mash.
Buttered mash.
Corned beef in it.
Yes, I was going to say, my mum does that every now and then, and put cheese on top and like melt it down.
Put it back in.
Bloody lovely.
Put cheese on top. It's like mash in a cradle of a jacket.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah,
corned beef.
Yeah.
Because we used to just do like lazy ones,
mixture, basically.
Beans and cheese, and then that's it.
Nah,
you know.
No. You can pimp a jacket potato, like
classic. Yeah. It's what would go on a panini would go on a jacket potato. There's a rule.
Yeah.
What would go on a toasty would go on a jacket potato. It's very
something
hot sandwich adjacent, isn't it?
Something that we've done quite a lot at home, like my mum will make a nice spag bol, and sometimes if the spag bol left, I'm like, that'll go in a jack potato.
Yeah, I get that.
I remember a spag bol from when I was a kid. Went down to my friend's house, Stephen Barrett, Jasper, shout out. I live in that street that he used to live in. Bizarre. Anyway, and his mum's spaghetti bolognese was fantastic. I remember going because we never had garlic bread in the house, never used to have it, right? But went down his spaghetti bolognese, the sauce, it wasn't over tomato-y. It was just enough.
Yeah.
It's more like browned off. So clearly the process was done well.
Process is important.
Browned off mince, because it had this rich flavour about it. And it had the diced onions in and stuff like that. So very kind of chopped up fine. Just enough tomato to clag it together.
Yeah, not too much tomato.
And also a little bit of bite on the spaghetti, which made a massive difference. And it wasn't watery. Right, because normally it's like you slop the spaghetti on, it's a bit watery. You got to get that thing drained off, right? And I always used to stick to the wall and like stay there. This one would be dry enough, right? So it wasn't wet, so you don't pool all of this kind of sauce in the bottom of the plate or the bowl. And then garlic bread on the side. Well, we'd never had that, and I was like, I remember it this day because it was lovely. It was a really nice spag bol. Perfect way to serve.
Yeah, I'm quite methodical about spag bol.
Yeah.
So I try and make my sauce like that, right? Not too much tomato.
No.
Start off, it's got a white wine in at the beginning. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, right, you know, the thing is, right, and anybody can shoot us down. I'm not talking about chefing, but at home. When you put red wine in their food, like they're making like a beef casserole or something like that. But if you do things like spaghetti bolognese, if you use white wine, a little tiny bit of it, the acid goes into the meat, so you get a tang in the beef, right? But now, like I grew up with that as well. Wet spaghetti, right? It's just I let it drain on the plate, right, with a bite. Yeah. But I put a bit of oil on it and I put some Parmesan on it. Yeah. And then I mix that in. Yeah. Or sometimes I might put the spaghetti back in the pan, add a bit of the sauce, coat the spaghetti so there's no non-coated spaghetti.
The waters, isn't it?
Yeah. But a ladle full of the sauce, the bolognese sauce, coat all the spaghetti, then serve the spaghetti that way, the bolognese on top.
I think it needs that little bit of sauce on it. You want it's the same as, you know, when you're doing anything chicken based, but you've got to like cook the chicken off and then take it out.
Yeah.
You can't just put the chicken in last, it needs some flavour. I would brown the chicken off,
Totally.
that, put it to one side. So if I'm doing a curry, then put that, all the veg in, and do that. So then me chicken has got some flavour and it's got a little bit of char to it. And then you're getting flavour on the chicken because it's not worse than just like beige chicken, is it?
Well, I've learned that recently. Like, if I make curry, and I should know, but the difference now, if you make like I don't know, if you make a curry or something, marinating chicken for like half an hour with yogurt and spices and that, just completely transforms it.
Well, mate, every time you go, it's like, can I have the tandoori chicken? I'm not having chicken without it being tandoori ovened. Do you know what I mean? I have to. But then you come and you cut into that thing. There's about 3 mil of colour on that chicken. Why? Because it's been sitting. It's been sitting, marinating.
And
that's the flavour.
Osmosis seeps through.
That's the flavour.
That's the flavour.
That's the flavour. What like good fellas earlier on. Talking about the huff.
Right, so we're talking about food already, so I think we should do what we wanted to do, or what Alice suggested. Because we haven't answered any of these, and I guess we wrote them.
We did do we've done the Greg's order. I haven't talked about the Greg's corned beef pasties.
Yeah.
Do you know about this?
That Greg's do a corned beef pasty.
Oh no, it's bigger than that.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, it's much bigger than that. I've got the film. Just prove it.
I have filmed 3 weeks ago. After 15 years, I had a corned beef pasty.
Oh yes, you in the car? Yes, I've seen that. I've seen it. Yeah.
It was
a momentous day.
It was a momentous day.
Well, if you like a corned beef pasty, you'll like a jack potato with the corned beef.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
It's like the same sort of situation, yeah.
Yeah, completely. So that's why I leaned in. Anything corned beef. And I sent you a picture the other day. The corned beef pie I made. It was like a year after lockdown or something like that. But that was Palm's recipe. So it was Sarah's mum's recipe. But the corned beef to potato ratio was phenomenal. Would have been proud because you can see the strands of corned beef in the pie.
Very little potato in there, like potatoes just glue.
It was, yeah, but it was good, wasn't it? Peas, chips, done. Yeah. Honestly, my favourite of anything is a corned beef.
You set off
pasty, pie, slice. I'd be corned beef all day long. So, but I did enjoy the pasty, and it didn't regurgitate. You know how it comes up, riffs on you for
not now. Because
my metabolism's fixed. That's why I fixed my metabolism. So now it went down clean. I had no after effects. I'm like, oh, hang on. I could. You know what? People say, oh, you're going to be eating one of them every week. I'm like, no, I won't. That's not the point.
Yeah.
The point was, I said to my daughter, I was like, well, listen to Greg's on the way back from dance. And I was like, all right, I get corned beef pasty. So she's like, you have to. I'm like, all right. So she was the one that's her thumb in the film. I have to admit, right? Fantastic. You used to watch Alan Partridge? Aye. And he sent us that video. That was an Alan Partridge, yes. I was like, oh, come on, what's happened? I thought that episode where he drives to Aberdeen. Do the whole? Is it the second series or the third series? No, mate, that wasn't that much of a fun. Well, he has a nervous breakdown, and he drives to Aberdeen and in his bare feet, and then he's caught he's found eating a giant Toblerone in his car, right? And I was thinking, is he rocking backwards and forwards? Has Dan done like an Alan Partridge? He's sitting he's sitting in a car park somewhere with a boot full of corned beef pasties covered in pastry. Yeah, that's a challenge. Can you covered in wrappers and that? Yeah, can you? Like in the back of the car. Can you eat a pasty without making flakes? It's impossible. But yeah, that was nice. It went down about 3. I thought, I'll just have a bite. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? I just summoned the old Dan. Yeah. Like Thundercats. You know, when he put a log into one of them kind of shipping machines. It was like that. Yeah, next. That's how fast that goes down, honestly. Did it live up to expectation, though? It was good, because I was going to go, am I going to be disappointed? The same thing. It's like the pizza shop we go to, Pizza Dad, shout out Pizza Dad. Same for 35 years, phenomenal. Handmade, talking about this last week at the barbecue. Handmade chili. And the recipe's been the same for 35 years. And everybody in the room agreed it's the best chili. And I was like, yeah. Because I saw them mix it with their arm kind of thing, because it was in vats and blocks. You think, it's disgusting. No, it's not. Because I know how clean that place is. Spick and span.
Chili.
Beautiful, mate.
It is. I love a chili.
Cold, homemade chili in the pots. No gloop, no gloss, none of that. This is a nice, wet, lovely, solid. It's got the flavour throughout.
Do you know how recently we were talking to Richard Coleman?
Yes.
About beanies?
Yeah.
And nobody knew what they were?
No.
Do you remember you could go to bakeries, like independent ones, yeah, Milligan's and places like that? Do you remember being able to get a chili slice?
No. What's that?
I remember when I used to go to art college in South Shields, there was a bakery that used to sell like corned beef slice, but it was chili mixed into the potato instead of corned beef. Like a chili con carne mixture.
Okay.
Like a Mexican slice, they might have called it, or something like that.
Like a mince slice. Well, it's kind of, it's like a mince pie, isn't it? It's like that adjacent. So, yeah.
Everything's adjacent.
It's all adjacent. I keep using it all the time, but it makes sense. The adjacent makes sense.
Right. Alice, please, can I have this?
Some questions?
I've already got one.
You don't need this, do you not?
No. The ketchup.
Oh, really?
Because I would, if I'm thinking of the right thing, would call it a tuck shop.
Tuck shop, yeah.
All right, okay. Because it could be anything. We were talking like the local sweet shop. Because we had one in the middle of Horton. I don't think I went to that one a lot, but I think I mentioned it to you, not in the pod, called Mrs. Wheatley from Horton. Everybody knew who she was. She looked like a mini version of Dolly Parton, right?
Amazing.
Big jam jar glasses, but she had a wonky eye.
Oh.
Do you do that at the camera? And you invite her on the podcast?
I can do either. Well, Mrs. Wheatley isn't around anymore, but also the unique thing about Mrs. Wheatley owned the sweet shop, she used to sell singles as well. So all the school kids would go and get a single cigarette.
Mrs. Wheatley, what you like?
And a quarter of matchsticks, please.
Quarter?
A quarter. Everything was done in a quarter. Would you like a quarter? White paper bag, roll up, bang, next. So, yeah. But
I see, that's probably like for you, you probably see retro sweet shops now that did that. That was just the norm for us. Well, quarter with the big metal scales and that.
There's a one in Helmsley, because we took the kids a few weeks ago, and it's exactly that. Classic sweet shop. You can go online, buy all the stuff, but everything's, everything you see is authentic from back in the day. Nice. Every single thing. Sarsaparilla tablets, bonbons. You've got them.
Blue mouths, remember them? When they became fashionable.
Every single thing.
Blue mouth.
Yeah. Because the kids haven't experienced a lot of that. Toffee bonbon, strawberry bonbon, and then you just go down the whole list.
Bonbons,
original banana, shrimps,
rhubarb and custard.
Yeah.
Pineapple cubes, cola cubes.
Kind of gone. Beer bottles. But the clear beer bottles.
Clear beer.
Big ones, clear beer. Remember when me and my wife were dating, there was a garage. It was, what's it called? The fish place, Latimer's.
Oh, yeah.
There was a garage where Latimer's was, but that used to have, the scooped kind of, they used to have like the sweet area at the back. Pick and mix.
Pick and mix, yeah.
But it was the only one that sold red laces, the bananas, the shrimp. So we used to go and just drive there, get a bag, go home and share a big bag of sweets, like £5 worth, watching a movie.
Honestly.
And that was it, on a single bed, watching a movie, watching Uncle Buck, do you know what I mean? Which you haven't seen. Nope. Sharing a bag of like £5 kits. And that was an entertaining night.
Do you remember me talking about how I loved advent calendars pre-chocolate?
Pre-chocolate.
Used to get excited because like a robin or something like that. Or
little baby Jesus.
Yeah, look at that. Right. I felt that way about Lucky Dips.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Lucky Dips?
Lucky Dip, right?
I mean, that was a mainstream thing. Just go in the shop, have a Lucky Dip. What? 5 pence, 10 pence, 20 pence, 20 pence Lucky Dip was like a sack of sweets, wasn't it then?
Right.
And sometimes you'd get like
blackjacks.
Yeah, blackjacks, fruit salads. Mm-hmm. Remember the chocolate cups?
Yeah.
But then now and again they'd throw something in that had it might be like a fizzy sweet, and all the sugar would contaminate the rest.
Like if you get an aniseed thing or something like that.
Oh, keep your aniseed stuff
Hi, Mrs. Wheatley. It's fun. Honestly, you could draw her as a character. Fantastic.
I can picture her perfectly in my head.
White hair, massive jam jars. always with a smile on
Like
face.
a pink
big red
penny on
lipstick. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always dolled up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? Always smiley. So
It's all
that's
those
why I
single
get away with
cigarettes.
selling the singles, man. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
away with it.
totally gets away with it.
But school couldn't care
Aye.
less. You know?
Yeah.
They're not bothered. That
What was your what
that
would you
was
get from the sweet
that,
shop?
That was when you'd get a cigarette off the teacher, or from the sweet shop. I would be. I mean, possibly. I did like what they call man, with the white chocolate with the hundreds and
Discs.
thousands on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Discs.
Yeah, yeah.
Them. Better than the chocolate ones. The white chocolate, I was proper sweet too.
Yeah.
But I would like to get a mix. I mean, red laces, bananas,
Flying sauces?
flying sauces. Yeah, you'd have to put it in your tongue and let it melt.
Yeah.
And then it would dissolve on your tongue.
Choke
Feel
on that a couple of times.
Candy sticks. I love candy sticks. So
Oh,
there's always a mix of everything.
back in the day when they could pretend to sell them as cigarettes.
but-
Remember the cigarette confectionery?
Yeah, they used to have red ends and the little kind of matchbox things. Yeah,
Imagine trying to do them now.
yeah. But the thing is that now everything's pick and mix. Back then it was like you had to decide on one thing. They didn't mix any of this up.
Oh, no.
None of that. If you want to mix up. You're going for a mix up.
A mix up?
That's what it
That's
was
what I
called.
mean.
That.
Yeah,
It was a
mix up. It's exciting.
Like your parents would buy like midget gems, but that's when the black ones were licorice. They weren't black currant. And I'm pleased
Yeah.
the black currant because the licorice ones can do one. I was like, "Whoosh." And then when you're nicking them out, your
horrible.
dad's suede drawer, there's too many licorice left. You know what I mean? Because we nicked them all. Gotta nick them all. So, but always the ones that stuck to your teeth as well.
I
But
didn't like the chocolate mint. The hard-boiled lime with a chocolate centre.
I do, yeah.
Chocolate limes, were they?
They were
Yeah.
called chocolate limes.
Didn't like them.
My granddad always had, he called them black bullets. Do you want a
Yeah,
bullet?
I remember black bullets.
Do you want a
See,
bullet?
my dad called
Tin
them
next to 'em?
bullets,
Yeah.
not kets.
You had a tin next to his seat, one seat, same as my dad. You don't sit in the seat, that's their seat, right? And next to him was a tin of bullets. But he would always have, he would just, like where this was, everything was wrapped, right? Like the limes, chocolate limes, roll on there, pop it in,
Yeah.
watching the rest
No,
of
totally.
it. I mean, but it was that, cigarette,
When they're almost medicinal.
fire.
My granddad would John
Yeah.
a barley sugar.
yeah. But it was that. But it wasn't, you weren't sitting like gorging. Do you want a
No,
bullet?
no.
One bullet, suck on it, you would take your time. And then, but that's how they kind of operate. You have a biscuit, you have one. You're not like, inhaling a packet of Kit Kats.
I don't know, like, I used to inhale, I could inhale half a packet of digestives, like,
Jaffa cakes.
oh.
Now, Jaffa cakes are a different thing, right? Biscuit or cake.
I guess it feels more cakey.
Do you know what
Like
the argument
if
is?
I wanted a cake, I wouldn't get a Jaffa cake. If I wanted a biscuit, I would consider a Jaffa cake. But when you think of what a Jaffa cake is, I'm like, it feels spongy. I think it's like a cake.
It is, but I think it should be in the chocolate biscuit
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you know why it's not?
field.
Is it a tax thing?
VAT.
Yeah.
Is it? No VAT on cake.
It's
You
like
correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it avoids VAT.
That's a boring answer, isn't it?
it is. But isn't that
Yeah.
because doesn't Pringles do that? Aren't Pringles technically cakes or something stupid?
Not-
Yeah,
crisp.
yeah,
Yeah.
something-
Because of
yeah.
the shape or something.
Yeah, I think it's because the way they're made. Because obviously crisps is like sliced bits of potato, but a Pringle is like molded.
Extruded products.
It's
There you are.
because
See,
it's an
comes
extruded
back.
product.
Yeah, it's exactly what they are.
Okay, that's interesting.
I've actually, last night, I haven't had a great diet week, I've got to be honest. Right, with it being post-Easter. So I went to the shops last night with the kids, with my daughter. And went to Sainsbury's. The exotic aisle. You get big bags of like macadamias and that.
Oh, the
Jive, international
World
aisle,
Foods
World
aisle,
Foods
yeah.
aisle.
It's the only place you get those big
found-
bags of almonds, isn't it?
Cherry version of Jaffa cakes.
Really? Was it a Japanese thing or something or not?
I can't remember where it was from. Bought a packet.
Mhm.
Just like Jaffa cakes, but with like a cherry jelly instead.
Verdict?
It wasn't cherry enough for me. It's nice.
Yeah.
I had one. It was nice.
I
But
do
it blew my mind a little
Yeah.
bit.
The thing is, cherry flavoured stuff always tastes better than a cherry.
yeah.
Because you don't get the intensity of a cherry flavour by eating a cherry. For me,
Cherry ice cream. Mm.
for me, the ultimate is cherry 7-Up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That was always hard to get, right? Used to do it in Pizza Day. Shout out again. So, but that's the thing. that and cherry coke. I think you always get. I think when it's with something or in something.
Yeah.
I think that. I mean, I know it's fake flavors. That's what probably going down. Dan don't be shit with fake flavors. I know, but the fake flavor tastes better than the actual cherry.
Like cherry lips never taste like cherry.
Cherry
They
lips.
tasted like aftershave or perfume.
Cherry
Remember?
lips. They had that perfume thing. It's like Palmer Violets. They've got that at the end of the. When you eat it, you don't cough at the end. Take your breath away. You know what I mean, though, don't you? Just one. Makes your chest tight. You're like, what's in this? Eating more. With cherry lips would always end up, right, in the bottom of the bag. If you left them for a day in that bag, they'll all just come together, won't they? Like one big lump of cherry lips.
Would you ever take a lot of them at once?
Way I? How else do you think you ate them? Yeah. They're not going to waste, Chris.
How many coughs?
I remember eating a moldy Swiss roll once, man. No way. Yeah.
Oh, I've done that, man.
Noticed after, though.
Okay.
I was eating it, I was like... when you keep going.
Yeah.
And you're not quite sure.
Like,
'Cause
I'll
you're 14.
figure out this problem if I keep on eating it.
Yeah, but you're a kid
Yeah.
and it's in the house, so it should be eaten. You know? It's the parents' issue to throw it out. It's not right, you know? So you just can't eat it.
Kind of logic. I like that logic.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Just eating dream topping out of the packet because there's no else in the cupboard. I'll do that. I need something sweet. Let's just make some dream topping. You know what dream topping is?
Yeah. Is it the same thing? Like Angel Delight is a type of it.
Oh,
It's kind of like that, yeah. It's kind of what you would finish a trifle with,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But you're not supposed to eat it all, but it's delicious.
I loved Angels Delight.
Angel Delight. But you'd have to leave it in the fridge for a while. We had these little kind of silver balls, and they would be sitting in the fridge, and you're like, are they ready yet?
I have a little
Over
bit of
them,
guilt.
making sure
Probably,
they're
ready.
I probably shouldn't talk about it on the podcast, but
Smart, did you?
we
Combine
once
three
we once
flavours or
made.
something.
Well, we did combine 3 flavors.
I know for a fact
We
you're doing something with
we
this.
made an illicit version of Angel Delight when we were
Yeah.
teenagers. Yeah,
Did it have something in it?
yeah.
Okay.
And the cat ate it.
Oh,
Really?
No.
Did the cat enjoy it?
Oh, the cat was off its head for about 48 hours.
No, was it?
Asleep on the radiator like that.
Well, it's not. That's not far away from what a cat does, though, isn't it?
Oh, it was like,
What,
but its tongue was walking around.
Yeah, 22 hours lazy.
Tongue out and
9 hours lazy. Yeah. Poor cat.
Didn't leave any Angel Delight either.
Yeah, I told you about the toasties you used to make. We kind of talk about this in the podcast. This has got to be behind a paywall.
It is paywall stuff.
Yeah, this has got to be paywall stuff. This. Yeah,
Cats. Right, okay, what's next?
cool with that.
There's one on there also in the dessert section that I'm curious about. I think I've heard you mention it before, but can you tell me what the Pop Man is?
It never happened in your.
I don't
Era.
think so.
Was this pre-Uncle Buck era?
Well, it was, though, to be fair. It was like,
It was on the
because
cusp.
it'll baffle you, right?
Mhm.
That in the 80s and early 90s, like shops just weren't what they're like now. You know, you were lucky to see, I don't know, 2 brands of pop,
Yeah.
like cans of pop and stuff like that. You just didn't see it. And so it was like a luxury item.
Coca-Cola was never
like,
bought. It was
it
too
just-
it was pricey.
All right.
You weren't going to buy like bottles and bottles of Coca-Cola. That was a special item, you know.
Mm.
So it was cheaper getting it from the Pop Man.
Like, it was more common to see cartons of juice. Remember the cartons of juice that used to have as ice cups?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tip Top.
Yeah, Tip Tops.
Yeah, Tip
It
Top.
was more common to see Tip Top in a shop
Yeah,
than it was to see soft drinks.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right, so juice cartons and things like that.
Yeah.
Like pocket money stuff.
I remember when Calippo's came
Yeah,
in?
Calippo was, like,
rice
massive.
lolly until Calippo's came, and it blew your mind. Why? Because it just had more concentrated juice in it. It was
Yeah.
more flavour.
Mhm.
You know, you try and make some at home. Ever made juice out of like ice cubes out of orange juice? You used to do
Ah,
that.
yeah,
Take longer to freeze.
Yeah.
yeah,
But you suck on them, you're like, oh, it tastes like
yeah,
instant
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it's come from, like concentrate.
aspartame through the roof, wasn't it?
Oh, completely. But
That's
the
all
Pop
the only
Man,
sweetener.
right, was literally like
The milkman. Huh?
the Milkman. But you might go, what was the Milkman like?
No,
So-
I know Milkman. I
So
get
it was
that one.
like a milk float,
Okay.
but they
Joe
were,
and the
they were
Deer.
like localized. So different areas had different Pop Mans.
So is it like
Right.
locally made pop, or
Yeah.
is it?
It was here. So we had,
It's like a pop factory. Yeah.
there's a pop factory here, about 3 miles away from here,
Oh.
called Villa Pop, which is now called Clearly Drinks.
Villa
It
used to
be
buy
called
the
Villa.
bottles, little bottles.
right?
The little white lid, that was the only pop you could get in small bottles.
Oh.
Yeah. So Villa Pop was Villa Cola, Villa, I can't remember the difference.
And they weren't
It was like the
BPA free
Tudor,
either.
like Tudor crisps. Villa Pop were like the pop version.
Yeah.
Sarsaparilla, Daniel Allen Burdock, stuff like that.
It was pineapple, cream soda, all these flavours you would never see.
And I guess in many respects, Fentimans were that
Yeah.
at the very
Okay,
beginning.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Fentimans used to, if I'm right, Fentimans used to just sell syrup. So they used to go around Newcastle and sell the syrup to people that then used to premix it.
It was like before Soda Stream. That's all they would do, just bottle it. But you would put the bottles out on your doorstep and they would collect the bottles, recycle them, and then you get your delivery once a week with a pot man.
Yeah, but you don't remember though, it was like a proper circular economy. Like, so you could get, like you'd come and you'd get like a
You could hear the van coming and clanking the bottles coming
cherry-aid.
around the corner.
Was it cherry-aid, limeade, cola, lemonade, whatever,
Oh, it's
right?
pineapple a lot, you know?
But you could take those bottles back to your shop.
Yeah.
So even though, so he would deliver them independently, but you could take the bottles back to the shop. You'd get 5p off the lid, off the top or whatever, and those bottles would then go back to the pot man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic.
It's full circle, but yeah. I mean, once you'd open them, by the time you get to that, it had a shelf life.
Oh yeah,
We used to keep it in the bottom
but
cupboard.
they weren't 2 litre bottles then, though.
Yeah.
They were kind of.
I was later
I
and a half.
don't know if you see it now. Actually, the bottles. If you go into Sainsbury's now,
it's like that triangle.
they've revived the old
top.
iron brew bottle, which looks exactly like the old pop bottles, which
Yeah.
is a glass.
It's kind of like a pencil.
Yeah, it was
shape.
like a
That's
pencil.
shape,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
And it had a sort of ribbed edge.
Yeah,
You
it was
remember
like
they weren't
mottled
clear.
on the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just a sticky label on the front, you know.
Oh.
But Alpine was the one that came round. But it was like what was I mean? We mentioned it
Mine was Sykes. Yours was Alpine.
with Heather Mills. It was like a scoffy lorry, so just a flatbed scoffy lorry, and it was just kitted out, and there was crates
Oh, okay.
up like top to bottom, but it was open. And the guy, you just come around the street, he used to be hanging off the back of this lorry with his leather pouch and his money,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
He used to jump out because they just do like one house, next house, move them off the go. Honestly, it was
wow.
like some kind of in and out, like a military mission. And they're clanking at the bottle, clank, 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 and they used to like pick them up. Like each finger had a bottle on it.
Oh, wow.
4 bottles in one hand.
Yeah.
You know, pay your money, blah blah blah, and then you're off, and then he's out. He's up the street. He's gone. You know,
Amazing.
just
That sounds
so
great.
fast and yeah.
It was though.
Bring back
like
the
it
pop
was.
man.
Bring back the pop man.
But just a visual. But it was a thing.
It was a thing.
You
But
hear
it
him
was
coming.
It wasn't too dissimilar to the rest of the things. It was like the ice cream man coming in.
Yeah,
Like you knew what time on what day
Yeah.
it came round,
yeah,
and it happened that way.
yeah.
You felt like you were on a sitcom. People used to just arrive.
So walking on
Characters
set.
would arrive
Oh,
with things, then
yeah.
disappear and come back again.
Well, we used to have we had a window cleaner at the house, right?
Yeah.
And there was 2 of them came round, and one used a ladder, so he was always up on the, far-reaching places. Where the other one, if you had an extension, I remember you just go to the back of the garden, run up the wall,
Yeah.
but cloth in hand, soak it, and just run up the wall to kind of
Oh, they were like
get on top of the
acrobats.
roof and then clean the windows, and then
Oh.
he'd jump down,
Amazing.
always over the back wall. all
Remember
that,
the technique,
all that.
Dan? How quick they were. Like,
Aye. That, but chamois. Always black bucket, chamois, and
And,
then he would just knock on your door and you fill it up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he'd be using the water from the street.
Yeah, I
Just
feel like you don't
unbelievable.
really get window cleaners anymore. Because remember when I was little, because we lived in like a terrace house in Bentham, like a proper Tyneside kind of terrace house, and we're on a hill, so the front at street level is like 2 stories, but then at the back there's a cellar as well, so it's like really really high, and like the backyard walls are like 7 foot tall or something, but the window cleaners would just like do your windows, and then the boss would come around knocking later. I was like, oh, they did the windows. Can you pay for it?
Yeah.
And obviously, if you didn't pay for it, you got free windows cleaned, but then
Yeah.
they'd never come to your house again.
Yeah. They do that now. I mean, we just go ticket through the door, windows clean, but they come round, he comes down in a van. So one of the guys, he's got a van, but all the water's inside, big vats of water, and it just wails out like the hose. And it attaches to like a scrubbing brush, and they just go around houses like doing that.
which one
Like
are
a
you
bunch
in
of
your
old
relationship
fellas.
who goes, mind, I haven't done the side windows today?
Oh, that's good. No,
It's
no.
always one, isn't it? They said they've been round on the windows. Definitely haven't done that one. Okay.
No, but I'd be like, Are you making? You just wipe the bird crop off the skirt at the top. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's kind of hit. Oh yeah, no bother. Man.
I got scammed by a window cleaner.
Really?
Aye.
Well, I mean, that's what, £3.
No, I put 20 quid. I got scammed
All right.
in Glasgow. Tell me if I've told you this story. Because I lived in a tenement.
Tenement Square.
2 floors up, right? And I was living with a mate of mine, and this guy came round, knocked on the door, and I should have known, right? Because it wasn't the 80s, it was the noughties, and this guy turned up like he was an 80s window cleaner, got a carrier bag and a bucket, windows clean. It was like, and like the tenements are big sash windows, right? Little ledges and that, and I should have at the time thought he's gonna need more kit than that, like to clean these windows. So we'll let him into the house, right?
He cleans outside.
I know,
in.
but like he was gonna go. So with it being two stories up,
You do the ins, they do the outs.
He goes out of the window onto the ledge, right? Because they're big sash windows.
Was he
Howard
Lloyd?
Spider-Man of window cleaners. So he walks in. We're sitting there like in dressing gowns and that, like moping about. I'm working in hospitality at the time.
Mr. Chaplin, do you want a cup of tea?
Wait, gets to that, right? So he's like, all right, okay, so I had about 20 quid for this, lads. And I was like, all right,
There you go.
well, that's all right, great, crack on. You don't mind, I've got diabetes. He says, you haven't got like I've got a cup of tea. We're like, oh, yeah, no worries. Just let this whole thing happen. Made him a cup of tea, start sipping his tea. I could do with a biscuit or something like for me sugars and that, blood sugars spiking and all this business. Give him a cup of tea. And then he goes to go out on the ledge, opens the window, puts his bag down in that, his bucket, and then just goes to climb out and he goes, oh, found a bit of a dizzy turn. We went, oh, you all right? And he went, oh, I'm all right, lads. And he steps back down. He goes, hey, 20 quid, please. We'll give him the 20 quid. And he just walked out. Never saw him again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupidity, right? Naivety.
I'd have given him 20 quid just for the hustle.
No, but we felt like...
Just for the kind of well done.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if he deserved the 20 quid, but you definitely deserved to lose it.
Well, we did. Because I look back on it now. He just walked through our lives.
Yeah.
We're still in like...
But it takes some
morning
bottle,
wear.
But it takes some bottle to go into a house full of people.
Oh, do you know what it is?
Openly scam.
He's probably thinking, I've never got away with this in 20 years.
Yeah.
These idiots.
Yeah,
he might be talking about this now.
And he got a cup of tea and a biscuit out of it.
He did.
It's a net profit kind of day.
I think I wouldn't be worried about the 20 quid. I'd be like, that's the effort. It's the cup you've done. You've served him as well as he take your money. That's a definite criminal right there. Definitely know that it's the charm, right? It's the charm, the hustle, and getting away with it.
Oh.
And you letting it happen.
He was so casual when he walked out, but I knew it was happening. And I was just kind of like, it's one of those things where if it's so audacious, it takes you a while to catch up without if people could be that way.
Well, I had a guy come round. He was there, like, have a badge. I'm ex-army. And he came round with a bunch of, like, he's just been a B&M. Got some sponges, some scrub brushes, a pack of cloths and all that kind of stuff. He's like, I'm going round, I'm collecting money for, this. He shows his badge, I'm ex-army, blah, blah. I'm just selling nice stuff around. I'm like, all right. I said, so what? I said, right, okay, what you got? Do you know what I mean? And I knew he just wanted some money, but he's giving you something in exchange, which is fair enough, and he's on the doorstep and he's going around. But when you know about it, it's your acceptance, do you do it or not? So he's like, I've got a pack. I says, I need some. I'll have a pack of dusters. 10 quid, pack of dusters.
I'll have a pack of dusters.
Huh? Because I says, I'll have a pack of dusters. Because I'm like, what you got? So let's say what you've got. So you open his bag, show us what you got. I've got this, got that. Like, how much you dusters? 10 quid. I'm like, 10 quid for 3 dusters. Do you know what I mean? Because I seen the label from it's B&M. And I'm like, all right, okay. I was like, yeah, no bother, mate. Do you know what I mean? Good luck. Bought a pack of dusters for 10 quid. They cost like 3 quid. I'm like, all right. But it's that. He's giving you an exchange, but he's wanting money.
He added a bit of value to the experience, did he? 7 quid's worth of value.
But yeah, but I'm like, if someone just stopped you on the shoulder, go, oh mate, can you lend us can I have 10 quid because I'm out of... It was kind of like that, but at least he had something to offer. Because I'm like, all right. Yeah.
I'm going to put the B&M on the way home tonight, I think.
But the thing is, yeah, fine. I'm going to help you. I just give him because I went in the house. I was like, this is as a guy. I said, he's wanting money and he's just got a bag of stuff, like cheap stuff, and you just want some money. I'm like, no, give me your tenner.
Did he come back again?
No, never see him again. It's like another kid, ex-army, come out, I'll cut your grass for you. Spent a whole afternoon, but obviously he didn't have any tools. I had the lawnmower. I was like, yeah, go on, crack on. But I had a good natter with him, had a good chat where he's from. He's got a young guy with a kid. But then I saw him like about a year later, got a job, he was driving a car and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, how you doing, mate? All right, how you doing? So it's just that's kind of, you give him a little chance, you give him a bit of money, he's put some effort in. What's wrong with that?
No.
If you see it and you know it, there's no reason in not doing that. It's the acceptance of it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a hustle, but I respect the hustle.
I respect the hustle. Like,
would you go around knocking on someone's doors going, I'll cut your grass, but I need to use your lawnmower?
Yeah.
It takes some balls to do that.
Oh, it does. It
You
does.
know? But then actually doing it as well. So they both did something and they both give you something. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I accept that. It's that one.
Love it. Come on then. Other question.
Let's go one more, yeah.
One more. Can't think of what the rest of the questions are.
Oh, well, do you know what it is? Look at Alice. Here we go.
Flat white Alice.
Flat white Alice.
Thank you so much.
3:30.
Is it?
Flying, isn't it? Do one more.
I think because this kind of came up today. Thoughts on the 3-second rule?
The thing is the item. It's the item.
Okay.
Item and the surface.
Depends on what it is and the surface. I knocked the chocolate off the arm of the chair, but that thing, I think that could go through a couple of drops.
Oh,
to be
could.
fine.
No, I could.
Because tempered chocolate.
And I think tempered chocolate could even take a fibrous surface.
It could.
Yeah.
Because I picked it up, nothing stuck to that. I've dropped the peanut butter corn cake on the floor in the kitchen, and it has landed peanut butter down.
It's unfortunate.
So in that instance,
What's your kitchen surface?
it's not the rule. Say when you're in the kitchen, but it can be a bit sketchy sometimes. We have a sort of runner in the middle because the wife insists on putting stuff down all the time on things. Can't just have a floor.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know. Rugs. Yeah.
So it's like rugging a carpet. Are you mental? Anyway. So,
Why do I want the rug?
But round the corner, that's where all the crumbs, they kind of just find a way, don't they, around the edges of the
They do,
units. They always do.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Doesn't matter how many times you sweep that thing up, there's going to be stomach there. But peanut butter side down, that's picking any single thing up on there. So I wouldn't waste the corn cake, but I would scrape the peanut butter off, and then you just
reapply.
Start again, reapply. So I would do that. It's not it's not a 3-second rule. I think it's the nuances in what you're dropping, how's it landing, where's it landing.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have there's no time limit for me. It's just about the surface.
I feel like it's got to be like in a setting. So say you dropped your chocolate, you didn't realize about it until like 2 days' time. You're like, oh, at that point, I think I'll be like, no, best not.
Like if I've...
You wouldn't leave, then come back.
Some surfaces that are like...
Yeah, because you haven't witnessed what's happened in that meantime.
Yeah, that's it.
It's 90% unacceptable surfaces, right?
Yeah.
Like I've ate a sandwich in the car before, and it might be like chicken, anything that's like got mayonnaise on it, and you're really enjoying it, and then that last bit of protein falls out onto the floor, like through your leg. You're driving, and I wrestle with Charlotte. It's the last bit. You pick it up and you look at there's like leg hairs.
It's called detritus.
Like bits of rubber off the floor mat, all kinds of stuff stuck to it. And I've held it up and went, no, I can't do that. I can't. But I've considered it. It's a bit like gravel or sand. Sand is just
Sand's a no-no.
It's game over.
I mean, a nice screaming sand. I don't know where you're going with that. Yeah.
I've got core memories of being at the beach when I was little with my siblings and my mum and my nana. And it doesn't matter what you bring to the beach. It doesn't matter what kind of food it is. If you're eating food on the beach, it's going to have sand in it. But I would still eat it. It would be really crunchy, but I would still eat it.
Yeah, but you take no enjoyment out of it, do you? You kind of like...
Oh, I don't know. Depends how good
It's like
the
you drink
fish and
something that you
chips
don't
are.
like the taste of and you hold your nose. If you eat something what's got sand in it, you just kind of try to digest it really quickly.
There's no way.
There's no joy.
Yeah.
There's
There's no joy. I'll eat it, but
But-
it's more because I don't want to waste
No.
it.
But the thing is that it's almost like, when you have an issue like rubbing cotton wool or something on your filling. Eating sand has the same thing for me. It's like
okay.
fingers down a chalkboard.
Yeah.
It goes right through us. And you're doing that and you crunch, you can just feel the nerves from the teeth and through the filling getting in. Because I think sand finds a way like water. Water always finds a way, like in your house. You got a lake, the water going to find a way.
Right,
Sand
this is
finds a
shocking
way.
what I'm going to tell you.
Oh,
But, if you drop... if you're draining something, right, in the sink, it's like a whirlpool. Like, you know that once the food item touches the actual plug hole, there's no going back.
it depends what it is.
I was hoping you would say that.
I can rinse. I've chopped chicken on the floor. I've rinsed
But do you feel like you're running out of time? As soon as it hits the plug hole, there's bits of cabbage hanging over the side of the plug and all that, and maybe like a cotton bud that fell out of a bag or something like that. Or
Yeah, but usually but that's usually washed down before with the thing that you're putting in the sink. Do you know what I mean? So if you really want to get, there's no left in my sink. Trust us. If there's a stray or something, that's getting removed like that. The OCD's not getting that, leaving that there at all. There's nothing ever stray in my sink. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
So what's the most unacceptable surface for something to drop on?
Well, I mean, you drop a pizza face down on a night out, you're not eating that pizza. You know what I mean?
No.
Depends how paid you are, like, so.
I mean, I think face down, face up is important as well. Because
It
I
is,
was thinking, I've definitely dropped like a bit of toast in the house, but it didn't land butter side down.
That's
So
fine.
when I pick it up, I'm like,
That's all right.
Yeah.
visually, it
You
looks
have to
all right.
check, as long as it's now hanging off it.
Yeah.
Backlit. Everything has to be done backlit.
Yeah,
You've got to inspect backlit, because then you see the shape of it and the do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The details in the backlight.
The contours.
Have you ever missed it?
Contours are in the backlight. Yeah.
Have you ever missed it? You ever missed a bit?
Yes.
A bit of fluff hits the
Oh,
top of
that's-
your
yeah,
mouth. When you, ah!
That's a good album name title. We're talking about band names. What
Yeah.
about titles of albums?
Yeah.
The contours of, what did you say?
Contours of the light or something.
The contours of the light.
Is contours or contours?
I say contours. So yeah,
I said cook.
that's a
earlier.
water
I
wheel
said
rotisserie
cook.
album. That.
Do you cook or do you cook? I usually say cook.
Cook, yeah.
Book.
That's because you're from this neck of the woods.
Book.
Book.
Do you go
Cook.
watch a film?
Film.
Film.
Cook.
Yeah.
I've got extra vowels.
I think that's a nice thing about Geordie. I remember in my final year of uni, I had this lass from London, and because I did a film course. She went, "You did a what? Like film? Like, ooh, film?
Film.
Yeah.
I used to always get that, yeah. But, I didn't pick other people up on their bloody language.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Why is it always the Northeast? Yeah.
Film.
Assholes.
Yeah. Who do you think you are?
Whisper. ASMR.
Assholes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, just soft swears.
But that's what I do when I when I look at the podcast.
Soft swears.
Oh, you fucking one.
You whisper to yourself.
I do. You fucking one.
We've got to finish on a positive note.
And sometimes I do like talking shit.
That's fun, man. It's great.
Positive note.
We've got to end on a positive note. We can't end on self-hatred, because that's something everyone's trying not to do, because I talk to people all the time about the self-hate talk.
I've
Yeah.
got a question
Some
for
people
you
have it, some
then.
people
Is
don't.
this going to end us on a positive note? Oz?
I should
Sorry,
hope
I'll cut that
so.
out. Sorry,
No, keep it.
go for it.
I'd like to know, since obviously we've said before it was like 15 episodes or something, what's been the most like pleasantly surprising part about any part of like this podcast process? Like, what have you like kind of sat down, reflected on, and be like, oh, actually, like I'm really glad that happened, or that was really unexpected, but like it was great that it happened that way, or something like that.
What a good question.
It's a hard one, isn't it? to answer
It's tough
that
to
one,
think about.
Alice? Yeah, because you like reflect. I kind of don't reflect. I just enjoy every single podcast episode we've done,
Mm-hmm.
because I like to get to know people,
Mm-hmm.
and also what better way than not knowing somebody and now we know them, and you can see a hi down the street,
Yeah.
and then there's a common ground and ideas that come from the podcast, because there have been some ideas which actually might turn into something.
Yeah, for me, and it actually feeds into what you said earlier, I've known quite a lot of the people, but it made me realise that I only know them on a certain level.
Yeah, like a professional level.
And for instance, I mean, like for everybody that's been on, actually, every single person that I've had a relationship with, who I've known for a period of time, I've just saw a completely different side to every one of them. And that struck me, actually. Like, you go back to the first ones, like Si, only got to know Si over the last year, but still those moments in that podcast where you could hear a pin drop when he was talking about his mum and all this sort of stuff, when people go personal and they kind of go into the wilds of their own head. Neil from Pink Lane Bakery, there was stuff that I taught Neil almost weekly, or I did up until the last year, at events and markets and whatever. And just all that stuff about Jersey and the environment which you grew up in, it makes you realise that actually when you have relationships with people, when you've met them in a business environment, you can make really lazy assumptions that you know them on a certain level, but you don't. And I think what startled me about this is just how willing people have, or I don't know, whether we're good at talking to them or whether we've got a certain way of talking to people on this podcast, but their willingness to open up without them realising it. Like, it disarms them to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I've loved that. I've loved it. Because it almost takes them aback as guests.
Yeah. The fact is, I think, I don't know why it should be unusual that people will sit down and talk about their life. I really don't understand that. And it is a thing. It's a thing.
Nobody asks them to, Dan, when you think about it.
But
Nobody really does.
Why would you ask so-and-so that? It must have been great to get them people on. It's just the fact is we're sitting down. I do not care. And I have no agenda about where this is going to go.
That's the point, though. And I think, Alice, you mentioned that before.
Because people will talk if you ask them a bloody question.
I know, but they're so used to, me included, and you do corporate podcasts. They've got agendas that it's like, can you tell me about the impact that your business is having and what you do and why it's important?
I get that, because it's a message.
Like, nobody ever really says, I don't really care about any of that.
Yeah.
I want to know where you're coming from within all of that.
Who are you as a human being?
Who are you?
Yeah.
Well, the Jim Carrey thing. You've got all these versions of yourself. Put them aside.
Yeah.
Like, who are you?
Yeah, but it is that.
I think that's a really powerful thing.
We are all human beings coming from a similar place. You started with naught, right? You were born, right? You started with nothing. Who are you? What got you here?
But can you say that ever happens to anybody? Like, can you go right back to reception class at school? You're never, ever asked to do that. You're always asked to talk in a way about what value you are bringing into the world, or you're not asked to talk about yourself.
No, but
you're always chivied away at to become a version of someone that has to fit into society. But
the thing is, you don't do that when you're sitting in the garden with your mates at a barbecue, and that's the best, most fun you probably ever had, and best conversations you ever had, sitting in a pub, having a natter. Why don't you just do that with strangers? It's the same thing, because everybody wants to talk like that. They just feel that they can't. And I think that's the whole point in doing it like this.
Yeah.
You find out who people really are.
Yeah. God, that's at the end of like an old Jerry Springer show, that, isn't it? Got a bit deep, huh? Take care of yourself.
And each other.
And each other.
There's a good doc, that. No, what's that? Jerry Springer?
Oh, that's a corker.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, just to end on, possibly cut this out, but end on Ross, me and Ross, there was a Jerry Springer weekend. It was on like UK Goal or Living or something like that back in the day. Because he used to run Jerry Springer every Saturday. We sat for a full 24 hours and watched Jerry Springer.
Wow.
It was a Jerry Springer marathon. And we went, right, we're going to do this. Right? In his house, we watched 24 hours of Jerry Springer.
Wow.
How are your brains after that?
It's great. It's great.
Did he get to the whole cycle of Jerry Springer?
Well, for what?
Like when he married the donkey and all that sort of stuff.
I think this is before.
Is that pre all that?
Yeah, it was pre all silly. Do you know what I mean? This is when Jerry Springer was like the good, solid, fun Jerry Springer when they were bringing relationships on.
Yeah.
It didn't get to the ridiculous.
That documentary's brilliant.
Yeah. Because
Really good.
It did change and they tried to lean into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Wasn't the stories about like on that documentary that led to someone's death and all that sort of stuff?
It was, because that's always going to happen. They come on, you humiliate them, right? And they what I didn't know was behind the scenes they keep them separated and they have a producer in the room. They egg them on, they egg them up, they kind of rev them up to get them angry, so they go out. That's why they're coming out sprinting, because they've been pissed off so much about this person, right, that they're on the show talking about. But they've also all signed a release form. It's the legal things behind the scenes that people don't get, right? As soon as you sign that document, you ghost, right? And they can do anything they want with this. So if that ends up turning into you have a role and fight, he's, married your mother, you've done a thing with his sister, blah, 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 right? If somebody amongst all of that has bad mental health issues, then
no doubt about it.
This is gonna carry on when the cameras turn off and when you go home, because you're gonna go back home and you're gonna still be stewing. And if you still have a close relationship with that person, something's gonna happen. Like the other one, somebody got shot and killed. Why? Because you've wound somebody up, you've revealed this on the show, someone's cheating on somebody else, and 6 months later, their lives continue after the show. You've just done it for the entertainment value for that night. That's it. And that's a problem with that thing. But yeah, imagine now, like, you don't want to feel guilty about someone going home and shooting someone or killing themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's what happened with Jeremy Kyle as well. That's what happened with that. So that kind of got shut down.
That's probably why I see less of them now.
Yeah.
Those sort of shows.
There was loads of them.
They all try to do the same thing though, didn't they? To like varying levels. But you remember the sort of British ones, like
Sally Jesse.
who was it? Sally Kilroy. Robert Kilroy Silk, when he went completely to the right, didn't he?
Yeah. What's he called? Thingy Wrights did one on Matthew Wright on Channel 5.
Wright.
That wasn't
The
too
right
bad.
stuff, wasn't it?
Right
That one.
stuff, so it's always been a thing, continued. It's just a panel show talking about politics and news and topics, Well, anyway. Bring back the word. That's what I say.